It would definitely make the most sense, but the issue is that they want to steal something. There's still the gyrocopter in the pool, there's still the Terrorblade, but you don't have K1, so yeah, they're going to go for something a little bit different, and this does allow them to now ban out some of the other carry heroes that Eternal Envy is going to want. It's pretty obvious that 4-Zoomers are missing that EE hero, and that's something they maybe could have leveraged a little bit more if they didn't want to go for the Slam Scarif. I don't think Beast Coast were necessarily going to ban it out, but Scarif Mage is a hero that some other regions have definitely been trying out, and paired with the Clockwork, now you have that initial burst. Burst damage is a massive commodity in the meta from your supports nowadays. We see the Hoodwink, we see the AA, we see the Lion, and the Skywrath Mage, maybe not one of those S tier heroes, but you're picking it, and they pick Jug into you, a hero that naturally doesn't want to necessarily go for that Manta style every single game. I really like what they have, as well as they pick the Juggernaut into the Clockwork. That's like picking their Juggernaut into a Tusk, where this Jug is not going to be able to play as free and loose in those side lanes. He's going to be considerate if he's ever split pushing, and if you ever catch him, that is just a terrible situation. That's something that Beast Coast are going to have to drop everything and run to their safe laner, and something that I don't think they're going to want to have to think about. So this Juggernaut, while it does lane decently well versus the Tidehunter, I think that's the big reason they picked it. I don't think it lanes well enough versus the Tidehunter to be that direct counter pick where you have to just throw everything else away in the game. Because you look at the Lina as well, as the Selena gets enough speed under her, and we've seen her several times when Gunnar gets it into his hands, just get those boots of travel, get that BKB, get that crit stick. I don't think this Juggernaut's going to have a very fun time if he's spinning on these heroes. He's just going to get shredded.
Yeah, this is the thing that's a little bit interesting to me, is because like you pretty much have to ban the Spectre here. You don't have a choice, so they go ahead and do that. They actually banned Phantom Lancer as well. I mean, Sammy Boy still having TB into this matchup is incredible. Like I can't, it's really hard for me to understand like why Beast Coast would give them the option of having the TB, because now they ban out the Dragon Knight. They can pretty much just ban out. I mean, from the offlane, who else are you even worried about here? Timbersaw's already banned. Axe is banned.
I think really they would maybe want to pick up that Sand King,
Yeah,
but
that's
really
the
the idea that goes towards me right now is that if they pick the Sand
Darkseer.
King right now on Beast Coast, yeah, there is still the Darkseer. Unfortunately, Darkseer Mirana is not really a
Yeah,
combo. They
Darkseer
don't really
Mirana's not
have that
great. They don't have another melee
in
hero.
their. Yeah, they just don't really have that many plays in the book right now, and the problem with that Sand King pickup, if they do want to go for it, I believe the Mars is also available. If they want to go for Mars, that would feel okay, but we've seen Mars really fall behind, especially versus the Tidehunter, where you can't kill the Tide. He's going to get out of your spear, so you need to focus on the other targets, and then it does get a little bit scary. I was going to say they could weave the Sand King in, and then the hero that's really sticking out for me right now is that Eternal Envy Anti-Mage, but I guess they want to value it, saying we don't want to let you get the Sand King. And when they ban the Sand King, they really give you that idea that they're going to go for this Terrorblade. That would have been the only bad thought in my mind, where if they do allow that Sand King, TB is a little bit off of the table at that point, but that's where the Anti-Mage would have been the perfect pick for me, coming out from 4-Zoomers, a hero that we've seen banned away from 4-Zoomers in a few other drafts. But now Beast Coast, they do have that difficult decision. Do they want to go for the Mars? Do they want to go for...
I feel like it has to
I
be Mars.
honestly really think it has to be the Mars, because it's either Mars or Doom. And okay, they go for the option that isn't going to get Kraken shelled off, but you're going to be dueling into Skywrath Mage. If you're not winning those duels instantly, there is that turn factor that really this is going to be a do or die situation for the Legion. If you don't win those duels right off the bat, the turn potential is so high from 4-Zoomers.
It is a really good pick into Terrorblade, though, is the thing. Like, you just max the overwhelming odds in lane, and Terrorblade can't really contest, and you do have Mirana, who can follow up duels, as well as the Hoodwink, and Sunstrike from the Invoker. So there is a lot of, you know, killing potential coming out from the Legion. Like you said, Tidehunter doesn't survive that with Kraken Shell. It does not get him out of the duel. I think Zoomers actually have to come up with something different here. I don't think they can pick the Terrorblade. As good as a matchup it is into... I mean, can't they just pick Luna? Am I crazy? Is Luna still in the pool? Okay, Luna's banned.
First is
banned. I was like, is Luna still here? Like, what?
I think more likely they might go for the Ursa now, another hero we've seen EE on. We still have the Medusa in the pool if they really wanted to go for it. Much less likely to pick the Medusa, though, I think, just because don't really want to play in a mobile hero versus that Mirana arrow, even though they could go for it. And it will be the Ursa pick. Just very simple counter pick versus the Legion Commander. If you can get that ulti off before the duel, you aren't losing the duel. And it isn't playing two Eternal Envy strings nearly as much as I think his Terrorblade, his Anti-Mage, his Luna, but another one of, I'd probably say, his top 5 heroes.
Yeah.
And in a lane matchup where it does feel like this was definitely forced, and I do like that Beast Coast were able to find that hero. I wasn't really thinking of the Legion Commander, but it does sort of shoot that Anti-Mage out of the sky where even if you counterspell, you're going to get counterspelled into the duel, so you can't really pick that hero anymore. I think they sort of missed their opportunity to go for that type of hero on the Four-Zoomer side, but this Ursa is not going to feel bad, and we've seen him snowball before, especially playing Ursa into Medusa. We've seen Eternal Envy pull out the stops.
Yeah, I would say like the Ursa pick for me feels pretty good here. It doesn't struggle really against the Legion lane. It's a decent matchup into the Juggernaut. You can absorb so much of that Omni Slash. It's all right into Invoker. Once you have the Shard, which usually you end up grabbing from that Roshan pretty early, the game becomes very difficult for Beast Coast to like really lock down this Ursa. A lot of it's going to come down to Whisper getting like a blink duel onto Envy without him getting the Enrage off, which, I mean, good luck. It's I don't know how you're going to be able to do that, but that's like really your only choice to lock down this Ursa. So yeah, I do like the way they round out the draft here. Envy on the Ursa is a great pick, but I think, you know, Legion, I'm about it. I think it'll do some work here in the mid game if they're able to kind of get some like solid pickoffs and snowball a little bit off that Legion finding kills. Beast Coast have a solid draft.
And if Beast Coast can really leverage that Legion, it's going to make their lineup so much easier to play because yet again, we're seeing this Invoker in the mid lane where if you do fall behind a little bit on this Legion Commander, you're not going to get that supplemental damage coming from your Invoker until much later in the mid game. So if Whisper can get off to a good start, rely on his own kill threat, it's going to make it much easier to prey and snowball on both the supports and the Lina of this game, which are definitely going to be the targets. I don't think you want to ever go for that Tide or that Ursa. While you do have that option available to you, I think it's going to be a very rare situation where Whisper is going to, on purpose, go for the duel onto the Tide unless they're really certain that they can burst him. Because otherwise, you dogpile on top of a Tide Hunter who gets his Ravage off, that's not a winning situation.
Smart heads up play there from Husky. Does scout out this rotation, and as a result, Mariano going to take a ton of damage here on this Mirana. Does manage to throw the arrow back the other way and do what they can, but this ward was scouted out completely, so they will go ahead and deward that here on Four-Zoomers in just a moment. Husky already with 2 sentries. I'd also like to point out that it is going to be Z-Freak on the Skywrath Mage, working those beautiful crimson wings here. Those are so sick.
Yeah, and Z-Freak, he's just the 4-god. There have been a lot of times where we've seen Husky definitely pushed to the side, but Husky, he plays Clockwork in such an interesting way. He always greeds out for that shard at 20 minutes in. He always gets that jetpack, and it feels like when it comes to those cog pushbacks, he is so clean and crisp. It feels like something that, I don't know, I haven't even practiced the jetpack cogs. It feels like it would look a little bit awkward, and always feels a little bit awkward, but he's always able to make something happen in his games. It's just so effective.
Wow. All right, this chrome or oil river is awful.
Yeah.
I can't. Please stop doing these. These river vials need to go. Get them out of the game. Can't stand them. Let's take a look at this mid lane. I mean, we've got PP on the Invoker. We've got Gunner on his Lina, who's had a fantastic showing so far in this tournament. I'm not really sure like how Invoker matches up here. I mean, it should be fairly decent, I would assume, because you have Tornado EMP, and anytime you have a hero that like uses mana to farm and CS and push waves, like it's gonna be a pretty good lane, I'd imagine.
And it's going to be a slightly slower start. That's what we always talk about when it does come to this Lina. Lina as well, one of the few heroes that can actually contest these ranged creeps pretty easily unless PP wants to commit the Tornado, which is exactly what Gunner will want. But it will slow him down just that little bit more because you get that mana drain, you get that mana burn out of you. But otherwise, Lina has the base damage advantage, will be able to sit in these waves. And very similar to the previous game, if we do see Mariano rotate mid with that arrow. You do need to be cautious about that For's intervention, but otherwise, this should be pretty even, but definitely going to give the upper hand just a little bit to that Lena. It's just that strong of a laner.
And early on, Schofield doesn't really have the kill threat up onto the Tidehunter. You do need to get to the level 2 of Blade Fury, get those boots online, and really play aggressive onto the Tidehunter. Early on, Moo feels very safe to just kind of anchor smash the wave. See Estes here in the top lane. Not too afraid at all. He's actually just pushing him underneath the tower.
Yeah, and that's where they have really complete vision of Stinger. I don't think Z-Freak's ever going to get caught very off guard here. And up until Schofield has his boots, which I believe are coming out on Courier, they can't make the easy play onto the Skyriff. They love to start on him. Very low armor hero, very low HP hero, but with this double circle build, Z-Freak actually is kind of sitting pretty high. They want to make the play onto the Hoodwink though. Either side doesn't really want to kill each other's core. They want to really prey on the supports, and that's the nice thing about this Skyriff versus Hoodwink matchup, where you have two spells that give you vision of the squirrel in the trees. You always have a very good general idea of where she's playing.
And they get the full hard camp here. A really good pull. Creep Wave's going to be able to equalize a little bit back in Schofield's favor. Stinger does salve up here, but like you said, they can't kill Moo. The play has to be onto the Skyriff Mage, and here it comes. The level 2 Blade Fury, brand new, like we talked about. That's your go here, and Z-Freak in the top lane. Gonna get first blood on over to Schofield on this Juggernaut, and that's the best thing you could have gotten here if you're Beast Coast.
And incredibly well played by Beast Coast, because that wave was pushing into you. The reason Z-Freak felt like he could stand that far up is because there was that double wave pushing into the Jug. Typically, that'd be a terrible trade, but they don't aggro the creeps at all. They walk right past you, and they don't take any damage from that creep wave. And now pushing in, this is where you would love to have your Skywrath Mage putting pressure, but even TP's mid to fill up Gunner's bottle, so this is just going to be relatively 2 free waves for the Juggernaut. And bottom, big dives.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Envy's just dead too? What? How does... Okay. I mean, I feel like there's no way that should happen, but...
Not bad.
Just two giant overwhelming odds, I suppose. Was Envy just sitting low HP?
Yeah, and whenever you see this double death happening in the Forzumer safe lane, you always look and you see that Husky, he has a salve. Eternal Envy, he's got no items, and he probably just sat a little bit too low. I've seen the same story play out time and time again, and they get punished for it. You never want to have the situation happen where you lose both members, especially because nowadays it's so free to have one person die, go back, get the free refill. You sometimes get a leg up in the lane when those events do happen. But now, Whisper, if he wants to, is going to have a full phase boots. Envy's going to struggle to play in this lane now. He's suffering level-wise, and yeah, they're just playing on top of him. And Husky, you're level 2. You don't want to sit there and trade with Whisper. Lane is completely turning out of Forzumer's favor.
Yeah, I feel like this... Husky has no choice but to throw his body at them at these, especially with where the lane is, because, Envy's got to get something here, but he's CSing terribly. He has 15 CS versus the 28, 29, almost 30 of the Legion Commander. You are just getting completely crushed in this lane. And this was a 24 pick Ursa, mind you. Husky might just die, able to keep all the overwhelming odds. Snipes him from downtown.
And now full phase boots on Whisper. So now this Ursa's lane, there is no recovery, and because Husky, he feels like he has to trade. Oh, Mariano. I don't think he wanted to smoke necessarily there, but stops Envy's pull, and Whisper is so pleased right now. And this buys time where you know that the Clockwork just double died, so Mariano has this effect on the mid lane. If they can keep runes out of Gunner's bottle, you already saw Z-Freak having to TP to refill at once. This is going to really be felt all across the map. And you look at Envy now, who's in a 1v1 versus Whisper. He's just getting clicked. Yeah,
this is what you do. He's just got so much damage out on this Legion. Can continue applying a lot of pressure. Envy.
He's got a TP away.
He's TPing tier 2 mid. He has given up on bottom. He has a Ring of Health. He is AFK jungle mode now. And he is looking for a Battle Fury first item. That is never happening. You are not getting this Battle Fury, Envy. No offense, but that item's coming out 16 minutes at the earliest.
And this is where you're going to lose all the pressure off this Ursa pick, and now your timing, you have now given Whisper.
That's the level 3 Blade Fury as well.
Mariano, he killed Z-Freak stacking. They are just making plays absolutely everywhere, and I don't know how Z-Freak let him sneak up, because you have this ward that should have been able to scout Mariano walking across the map, but you're just giving away way too much to Beast Coast, and they're Beast Coast. This is not what you can do versus a team of this high level profile. And now you have Husky just holding the wave bottom. I don't think Whisper can necessarily get the solo kill, but level 6 Legion Commander, level 3 Clockwork, this just feels awful. And Envy going for, I guess, the situation that he feels is going to fix it the easiest, but this, like you said, this Battle Fury is incredibly slow. 18 CS, 7 minutes into the game, and I know at least 6 of those are just jungle camps. What a bad start.
Huge bait by Moo in the top lane, ready to turn around with the Ravage, and there it is. The quick 1-2 going his way. Showing some signs of life here as Gunnar really needs to keep his team in this. That does give Moo a lot of gold, though, back into this one, because he was starting to fall behind a little bit here in the top lane, and now going to get a lot of experience as well off of this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because Gunnar does vacate the middle lane, that's where you see the Bear take over, going to get a few last hits, but all of his mana gets drained. You're laning versus an Invoker, and now PP says, I want to make rotations. Let's kill their bottom laner, get Whisper some farm. I think they're going to be able to cut off Husky here, maybe, but actually
he
PP's
wants
keeping
this duel
top.
so bad, but it's not going to happen. Yep, top lane. Moo is just underneath the tower. Not really sure where he's going here. Z-Freak managed to deny himself to a creep, which is pretty sick. And with this rotation from the Invoker, I believe this Tide should die. Arrow off the mark. Tornado, however, gonna connect. And at some point here, Moo will go down. This is what we like to refer to as space being made.
And it is space for Eternal Envy to catch up just a little bit, almost doubling his CS, but a lot of these are going to be that small camp, and they are making space now for the Ursa. Unfortunately, Gunnar is the one who's probably going to be taking these stacks along with the Tidehunter. He's got a regen rune, so he can actually farm it decently well, but right now, you need to get these Boots of Travel finished up on the Lena so you can play that more split pushy type of gameplay, because right now, if Beast Coast wanted to, they could flood heroes to the bottom lane where Husky is still working on his level 6. Right now, their top tower isn't really under any threat. They don't have good pushers. Fortunately, this time around, the last time we saw Eternal Envy on this Ursa, he was paired with the Puck, so they didn't have very good natural tower damage. So they do have that in the Lena, but Gunnar going for the Boots of Travel, which he really has to, is not going to be able to get those tier 1 towers very easily as maybe his Leshrac would have been able to.
Yeah. Gunnar just softened up all of those ancient creeps for me to just walk over and steal them all. Husky bottom lane gonna go down here, and that's gonna be the first duel of the game going the way of Whisper. And like we talked about, if Whisper's able to like pop off here on the Legion, you are in a really bad spot here for the Zoomers.
Yeah, it just allows him to make plays by himself. It lets you play in these sidelines so much more aggressively, and especially when you see Eternal Envy going for items that aren't going to give him stats, aren't going to give him any HP. It's really the item after the Battle Fury that's going to matter, and that's where we do see Gunnar finally putting pressure on this tier 1 tower, but both sides are okay with this. They're going to be completely fine. You even look at Schofield, who's going for the Maelstrom instead of the Battle Fury that I'm assuming K1 would probably go for. We've already seen him play Jug at this tournament as well. But once Schofield gets this, we're going to see the Juggernaut now make plays on the map. Unfortunately, with the Juggernaut, we typically see him flood towards that mid lane with the Healing Ward. But you're playing versus Lena. Healing Ward is really going to be a non-factor unless you're out of the fight and you're completely away, because in those team fights, Gunnar should really focus that down. But Moo?
And Moonlight Shadow's going to set up a really nice kill here. Duel comes out, the Sharpshooter. They got the damage. They're able to take him down, and a second duel going the way of Whisper, now up to 20 damage here.
And that's the one kill where they do flood 4 heroes, but they get this Blink Dagger now finished up on the Legion Commander, second duel win, and you kill the Tidehunter when he has Ravage. And that's where Moo is going to struggle to make plays. I think with this Ravage, you want to get aggressive, you want to play on the enemy side of the map. But I feel like every single time you expend it, you're going to see Beast Coast start to run at you. That's where their lineup can make plays just really twice as much as you can, because as soon as this Ravage is down, you have to just be the player that stands in front of your towers. You have to play that almost Timbersaw-like role where you are now going to be the one to sit in front of mid. You are now going to be the one to sit in front of top if they ever make those rotations. And that's where I think Beast Coast are going to ignore you. They're going to look for Envy instead.
They got the brand new Blink here off of Whisper. If they can get this duel into the mid lane, which they do, he gets the Enrage though. Great reaction time there from Envy. I think he knew this was coming. He still ends up dying, and at the end of the day, that's the thing you want, right? Slowing down this Ursa even more. Nice jump on the backside. Actually ends up pulling him off the mark, and with the Skywrath Mage, they might be able to finish off PP here on the Invoker. A couple auto attacks here from Gunnar should be enough, and they do. Ravage comes in from Moo on the backside, now focusing over onto Hoodwink. Double kill going the way of Gunnar here. And as we said, Gunnar keeping his team alive in this game right now, doing all of the damage.
It's very unfortunate that it felt like Envy knew what was happening. That's why he was actually able to react with his Enrage, but his team was smoked behind him. They make the play after he already dies. It is unfortunate, but they did use more or less everything. They used 3 ultimates. They were able to get now that push a little bit onto that mid wave, but if you can make these plays, really enabling this clockwork in this early stage is going to be very key. And playing on top of the Invoker, if you can slow down PP, he hasn't gone for that Midas. He's queuing up the Force Staff instead. And this is something that's going to be exploitable, where every single other member of the Four Zoomer side has gone a little bit greedier, has gone for more of that farming type style. And I really wish I could see Yules being built up on the Lina. I feel like right now Four Zoomers are missing one of those touch and go stuns that could be filled with that Yules, but Gunnar is staying solid, saying, I'm going to go for the build that I've gone for 3 times in a row, going to get this BKB, and then I most likely am not going to die in these duels. And that's where the Whisper, the early game, if this Legion Commander doesn't have enough duel damage, this BKB is going to come out and Lina is going to feel invincible.
Yeah, I mean, Gunnar just can put out so much damage once he has the BKB is the thing, right? Like, that's where, like, it really comes in handy. Like, he doesn't have to worry about getting caught on the backside. He can ignore, basically, the Invoker. And, well, Husky gonna get caught by a duel here. Sharpshooter already being channeled. The Sunstrike not even needed. Is Mariano able to pick that one up and giving now the 3rd duel on over to the Legion?
Yeah, it's just a little bit too free, and that's where you don't have the playmaker in Moo. While this Ravage is down, you have to be patient, and that's why Husky sort of bodying for his team, being the living ward. Unfortunately, Whisper is just a little bit too ready there, because you want to make those hookshot Mystic Fur plays as many as you can while this Ravage is down, just to get some counterplay across the map. But I feel like without Moo, it is going to be a little bit of a struggle, especially because now Whisper, you have this duel up in 15 seconds. He can constantly make these plays, and if he's able to succeed in these aggressive moves, it's going to be that independent Legion commander that is going to look for Z-Freak, who's going to sit himself in these side lanes to try and get farm, or Husky, who's going to try and push out and try to get a little bit of space on the map, where Gunnar is going to be at risk if he is in those side lanes.
Now, Envy is finally closing in on that Battle Fury, just about 600 gold away, or 700 gold away rather. But well, that helps a little bit.
Unfortunately, Gunnar has been really farming the triangle, trying to get this BKB.
Speaking of Gunnar, he's going to get found by Whisper. That's the worst case scenario. Sunstrike, arrow, everything dumped on him. A very cool 420 gold going the way of Whisper.
And they're playing a little bit too split apart. You see, again, after the fact, 4 heroes are right behind where their teammate died, looking for the rebuttal play, but you don't have a Blink Dagger on Moo. You really need to be reliant on this Clockwork, and Husky drops the ball for just a second there. Even, unfortunately, placing a ward right in front of that ward sentry combo, so it's going to get cleaned up in just a few here, but this is all a lot of space for Juggernaut. We have not seen Schofield really get involved, aside from that 1 kill he had top, but he has a Fuel Mjolnir? That's a really interesting build coming from the Jug, but he is just going to be able to fuel up this magic damage. Again, not building anything to cleanse himself from that Skywrath silence, but if he's not getting silenced, I guess he doesn't need to worry about it just yet. But really, if he's able to get those items like the Butterfly, like the Scotty, we're going to see him become the monster. And that's where, again, Vorsumers, they need to be very careful. If you aren't finding those Ravages, those really point-blank Ravages where the Juggernaut isn't able to react, you're going to feel like you can't fight.
Yeah, I imagine Schofield is not really concerned with fighting right now. I mean, he's just been getting tons of space from his team, thanks to Whisper here on this Legion Commander. And I think Schofield, his main goal, he just wants to farm up and be able to out-carry this Ursa. Hookshot actually comes out, finding the Hoodwink, falling incredibly low, able to keep herself alive just for a moment. As Salve comes in, I think she's out. She's fine, even at a raindrop there.
Now, Whisper does need to be careful. They were playing footsies top with the Lina, but you have the Force Staff coming out from PP, and we talked about how important these Force Staffs were going to be, and you have a Force Staff at pretty much around the same time Z-Freak is going to have his Atos, and you're missing your support timing a little bit on the 4-Zoomer side, where it is going to come back to Moo and his Ravages, where if he ever whiffs, you are going to be so far behind because you're still waiting for this Ursa to finish up that item after the Battle Fury. He was finally able to finish it up, but we still have this problem where 4-Zoomer heroes are stepping on each other's toes. Gunnar is going to get a little bit more active with his BKB finished up. He's probably going to look to TP mid smoke with his teammates, but he's been farming the triangle off cooldown over and over again in that space that Envy hasn't had.
Yep. Actually, smoke up here in the mid lane here. Zoomers want to go ahead and try and fight. They've got the BKB done. Like you were talking about, Moo has his Blink Ravage. I mean, this is as good a timing as you're going to get here on the side of 4-Zoomers. The question is, who do you get? You see Stinger there, but that's just not the kill. The hookshot comes out from Husky. No. He whiffs it just a little bit too early. Backside of the fight, Schofield not gonna have vision of him quite yet as he just goes right in with the Omni Slash. It ends up finishing up on the clock, where keeping Moo alive just barely. But again, they do have the Blink Ravage. They could try and turn this around. They will go for it on the backside. They even find the Hoodwink. They take down 2 so quickly. And as a result, Beast Coast gonna regret sticking around just a little bit too long there.
And they bait it out really well. They wait for the sentry to go down before they go for that jump. They just get a little bit too close, and if Moo can find those 2 3-man Ravages, they're going to be successful on the 4-Zoomer side, as well as Gunnar not even having to pop that BKB. I think Schofield got ahead of himself. If he wanted to, he could have stuck on the Tide, spun on him, but they really should have just taken that kill, walked away. They'd already committed that Omni Slash, and they were playing blind. So Beast Coast play risky, and they 100% get punished for it. They could have even played more heavily on this top tower. That's something that Beast Coast have done continuously, is they've placed ward, they've placed visions up here. They want to kill the 4-Zoomers hero that's going to come up here, but 4-Zoomers haven't been giving them that play. And that's a play that 4-Zoomers have done time and time again with this Tidehunter. They smoke over to a high ground, they place the spot, and then they wait. And it was actually a pretty poorly timed smoke. It was a smoke that wasn't going to catch Schofield looking for the camp respawning. You really would have only gotten Stinger, and they didn't get it because of that whiffed hookshot. But I guess it's just the hubris coming in from Beast Coast that allowed that punishment to happen. And now with the full 4-man rotation coming towards his top area, Whisper, he might get the duel win, but he needs to be careful now.
It's really confusing that like Mystic Flare just doesn't work sometimes, or doesn't show on screen. Gunnar pops the BKB, gonna just try and chase him down. Nice 2-man LSA, finding the Hoodwink. The right-click damage should be there. He does finish him off, and now Invoker just happens to be under a sentry. Thought he could sneak away. Buyback from Husky. Ooh, gets the deny on the ward. All right.
And it's a really good BKB reaction, knowing that he can allow himself to get bushwhacked, hits a double stun on the supports. Just really well played from Gunnar, and they didn't take the space. It was a little bit crazy play from Whisper to go for that duel win, but he does succeed. But Beast Coast doesn't envelop the rest of the map, and that's where these deaths on PP are going to start to add up. He did get that Midas after the Force Staff, so he's not going to be nearly as farmed as some other Invokers that we've seen in the past. That's where we see Whisper eclipse him just a little bit, and we're going to continue to see Whisper playing in this top lane, forcing it in, and then trying to get the picks on these heroes. But 4-Zoomers have the game sense. Even Gunnar being careful, hesitant to push out that bottom lane in case they are setting up. So both teams are doing a really good job at reading the other team's intentions, where Whisper's not showing, so we're not going to show either. It's very measured play.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, potential another smoke here in the mid lane. Ravage just coming off cooldown, and Tidehunter, he's got an arcane rune. They'd love to put this to good use. Now to continue the run down mid, see if they can find anything. PP sitting behind the tower, Mariano as well, but who's your good target? They're going to go ahead and run for a wraparound here, potentially.
Yeah, and they exact same play. They go to the eye spot, they place the observer there. If they got Whisper, that would be fantastic. He's going to pop the smoke. It's really which direction does he blink in here? He saw the flare.
Oh, he gets the blink.
He's running.
Ravage comes out. It does catch just barely. Very close there from Whisper. Close reaction time, and honestly, really well played by him, but just on the last ridge of the Ravage is able to find that Legion Commander.
And you see, they do make the play, the best of that situation on Beast Coast. They do push into both bottom and mid, but Mu very simply TPs, and this is where 4Zoomers are still looking for another kill on this observer board they've placed here. They don't know about it on the Beast Coast side because of how deep that smoke was, but okay.
Gunner, does he have the damage? He pops the BKB, but the Omni Slash comes through. He's got to tank this up with his other heroes. Schofield now on the run. Mu looking to maybe find one of these heroes. Great pushback from Stinger. Able to slow them down just a little bit, and they will back out.
And if they got anything else, that would be the immediate pit, but they do have to play just that little bit more patient. This is all without PP getting involved either. He's putting pressure back on this mid tower, and we very likely could see a smoke up from Beast Coast, even though they don't have the Omni Slash. They now want to get something from Whisper because they're all playing in his wheelhouse. They're all playing on his side of the map, and they do get that D-ward, so they do know that 4Zoomers are relatively flying blind here, but now it's up to Beast Coast to find the punish because they can't be okay with allowing 4Zoomers to farm with these Boots of Travel, with this Battle Fury, especially when Ravage is on cooldown. But we'll have to see if they make something happen because this is where everything really is on Whisper. And until he gets that BKB, it's hard for him to make some of these crazy duels plays happen, but he's going to go for it anyway. He still has a pretty decent lead on this LC, so he should be confident, but that's where 4Zoomers, you see how defensive they're playing right now. They're playing scared for a very good reason.
Yeah, they don't see anyone on the map. Lanes are pushing in top, and, you know, they smoke up, pop that Moonlight Shadow. Maybe they find someone, but I don't have a vision of anyone. They just know they're back behind this mid lane.
Oh, Gunner.
Gunner would be huge, but they don't see the rest of the Zoomers, and they know it's going to be incredibly scary. Sitting up on the high ground, they can't go for it, and there's the flare, finding the whole side of Beast Coast.
And that's where, unfortunately, because this play doesn't end up happening, it allows Gunner to now push in bottom. He still has those Boots of Travel if they want to put pressure. And that's where Beast Coast are lacking something in their lineup, their ability to force the fight to happen over on that Roche pit, where 4Zoomers are much more adept at it, solely in the Ursa, where you can now force your opponents to come to that secondary objective, where now Beast Coast have to take the default trophy. They just get that tier 1 tower, give the glyph back for that mid tower defense, where Mu, just lead-footed, is sitting at this mid tower, not letting any damage happen, no matter the split push. And Z-Freak, you see him playing in this top lane. He's so patient. I don't think he's going to give him the play, and actually baiting him just a little bit. Whisper's going to get right clicks on this tower, but here comes everyone.
Yeah, this is surprising. Being here on the Legion Commander, just no chance. Question is, can we get more? Gunner looking for Mariano, not going to connect, and now you just go into Roche. They got everything they want.
That's what we need. And you look at Whisper's item build, he went for that Aghanim Shard mostly because he had the gold at the time, but that's what happens. You pop your press the attack on yourself, you hit the tower, you do a decent chunk of damage, but you have that silence after the fact, and we're still not yet seeing any way to cleanse this silence. And Envy, it's free. It's an Aegis now in the hands of the Ursa in a fight that Beast Coast can't take. Oh,
nice hook shot comes in. He finds Marana, pops that dust, but she's able to leap away. Stinger, not the target you want to ravage, so they will go ahead and just turn their attention toward the mid T1. Take that down with ease, and now 4Zoomers finally showing some signs of life here, pulling this game back, giving themselves the first real advantage they've had this game.
And I love it from Mu, almost sort of hearing me saying that I want that Eul Scepter coming from Gunner. Now he has a disable. He's able to get a little bit more of that catch. Queuing up an Arcane Blink too, and this Arcane Blink is what catches so many teams off guard. Not only do you just have Ravage more often than you don't, but you are going to be able to possibly catch Schofield off guard, and we already know that Mu is so good at blinking on top of those targets, making it feel like it is a burrow strike, like it is an actual instant stun, where now you have to be ready, you have to have the vision on Beast Coast side, where this Tidehunter, you have to almost preemptively spin, preemptively BKB, and that's where we need to see more items coming out from this Invoker. He has the Aghanim Scepter now, but we need BKBs. We need more kiting items. They have 2 Force Staffs, and that's great versus the Skywrath and the Clockwork, but Mu, I still think, is getting a little bit too much done on this Tidehunter.
Yeah. Mariano did manage to finish up a Solar Crest. Now going back for the Aghanim Scepter. A pretty greedy build on the Marana. The Ags is super strange to me. I can't imagine that he finishes then, but maybe he will.
And it's something that we've seen more and more South American Maranas actually get. I know a lot of the NA guys, they still prioritize getting those Greaves, getting the Yule Scepter, getting even the Spirit Vessel. So this Ags, it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I understand that it is a really good gauge of where your opponents are. It does give you a little bit more vision, which is going to be paramount for Whisper to find those blink initiations, but at the same time, it is a lot of gold that you are dumping now onto your 4 position. We're seeing a very low death Marana game yet again, but I'm still not 100% sold on it entirely. It does make you a little bit tankier, but when it comes down to it, how does it help you kite out the Ursa in the Lina? It really doesn't at all. Ooh, Envy.
Gotta be careful up here in the top lane for sure. What does he have coming up on Courier? It's gonna be his Blink Dagger. It just gets delivered. Okay.
And that's where the Ursa does feel very, very nice with the Tidehunter, where you have that secondary hero to jump on immediately, get the damage. It doesn't matter how many heroes you ravage if no one is dealing damage on your team. And that's where, again, the Lina combo, you're always dealing damage to somebody when that ravage. Nobody is out of your attack range. And I want to see Whisper make a few more plays here, but for Zoomers, they know the game plan. They know we're going to stick together. We're going to move as a group. They have not moved into an area without their vision or without Eternal Envy leading the charge. They're really playing around this Aegis advantage very nicely.
Yeah, I agree. Quickening Charm, Ceremonial Robe. I mean, Moo is probably pretty happy to get the Ceremonial Robe if he can. Envy doesn't really care all that much. He has the Shard. We talked about early on like how important the Shard is this game, just being able to have that bonus strategist from everyone. Envy actually just walks up onto their enemy. Well, I guess he's fine. Still just constantly spam the Earthshock. Didn't want to go for the duel there.
Yeah, and we see Whisper, he's queuing up the Shadow Blade. He knows that the blink initiation is too slow this game. He knows that if he goes in, he's going to need something a little bit more. If he could duel immediately from Invis, that would be stellar, but okay, here we go.
They get the duel. That's the Cataclysm as well. They just take down the Tidehunter before the fight can begin, and Ursa just stunned up. They managed to blow apart Schofield, though, before he can use anything. Gunner and Z-Freak find a perfect opening onto him, and we talked about this earlier. He's got 0 defensive items. No Manta, no BKB, just gets silenced into an LSA, and that Juggernaut's dead.
And that really is the unfortunate situation where Beast Coast, they have the perfect posturing. They know that if they let this Ravage go off, they are all dead. If they don't have that perfect blink initiation from Whisper, they're all going to die. So they don't play close enough to Schofield. They died, or rather he died with both Force Staffs being available. If you get those Force Staffs off, he doesn't get bursted there. But instead, it's a nice reaction from Husky to start that kill off on the Juggernaut, but you lose Moo, and then you feel the fear in 4 Zoomers. They got out immediately after Gunner had also used his BKB. The good news is you still have this Ravage. You are able to make very similar plays, but I think now for Zoomers, they're going to refocus to controlling this side of the map. They want to have very good control going into that next Roshan, and that's where Beast Coast are really going to need to put more split push pressure on this bottom side. Otherwise, the Radiant advantage is there when it comes to the pit, where you have more opportunities to get yourself over there, and if they give up another Aegis, we're going to see the same posturing come out from 4 Zoomers. And I think really Beast Coast, they need to find more plays onto Gunner. If they find him, he's got a Daedalus now, he's going to do so much damage in that Blade Mail duel. I think Whisper could honestly solo kill him at this point if he finds Gunner alone.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how like Whisper atomizes. I really like the Shadow Blade currently. I was thinking earlier before the game started, I was like, I don't know how you get a successful duel onto the Ursa if you want to duel the Ursa, but the Tidehunter is also your other big target. Like we saw specifically just in this last fight how strong the Cataclysm is, and Shadow Blade, a great form of initiation. So now with that, if they can grab one of these 2 heroes into the Cataclysm, they have a real fight going their way.
And you see 4 Zoomers, they're no longer trying to break into the triangle. They know that it is more or less suicide, and Beast Coast, they're doing what they need to do. Unfortunately, we see Schofield, he has to go bottom, but because of the threat of the Clockwork, if he doesn't know where Husky is, if he gets his TP canceled, it's a very long death, but it is a guaranteed death more or less on that Juggernaut. He still needs to play very cautiously. You actually see Schofield queuing up an Aeon Disc. This is a really cool Jug build, but it makes a lot of sense, but I feel like you would rather get a blink dagger or something like that so you can actually get in and get out and then have that easy build up into the swift blink. So we'll see if he actually goes for this Aeon Disc. I feel like it is a little bit too far in that wheelhouse, but they find the play on him here. They want to lead with the hook. They actually might get him here.
Oh, he's gonna. Oh, he didn't Blade Fury, and he's dead. I mean, the Blade Fury may not have helped, but it definitely would have denied a lot of the damage that would have come in from the rest of the team. Yeah, they got that jump. Really well played there for Zoomers.
Well, Husky
flying high, planting some wards, looking for a jump onto Stinger. Doesn't actually force staff to the low ground. Misses the bushwhack as well, and now Stinger hiding in the trees here behind his tier 2. He's going to be all right.
Very obnoxious hero to kill, especially with the force staff, and a fantastic force staff coming in from Stinger, but we're still waiting for the
arrow. It catches Envy, and now there's gonna be everything dumped on him. Oh no, a disastrous start. Gunner, you can't fight this Legion. He's way too strong, but now with the BKB expiring, they might be able to chase him down with the help of Z-Freak. They do. Deafening Blast comes through, Hookshot comes in, but he lands on top of this Invoker, taking so much damage, but the chase, my goodness, Gunner, with this new Daedalus, is just owning the side of Beast Coast, getting himself a triple kill.
Yeah, just perfectly kited out, and Gunner, he was being a little bit of a noob there, I'll be honest. Sometimes there's a lot going on with these international effects. Couldn't tell that the Legion Commander was blade mailed, so he did do most of that HP on the blade mail, but once he has the Satanic, usually we see him go immediately after his Kaisanj into that Satanic, but because of this Daedalus, just after the fight, there's nothing they can do. I thought for a second maybe PP would have been able to kite him up after the BKB, but you lose both of your initiators. You don't have that guaranteed stun, and I hate to bring it up again, but Mariana, without a Yule Scepter, without any setup, you have Mirana and Hoodwink. You don't have the easiest time finding those stuns, and still going for this Aghanim Scepter. I can't agree with this decision.
Yeah, I think Gunner just has free range to like sit in the back of these fights. Like they can't really get on top of him very easily. Legion can only duel one target at the end of the day, and like you said, Gunner did do a lot of damage to himself on the blade mail, as well as just fighting into a BKB Legion who's going to be getting tons of moment of courage procs and the alacrity on top of him. Like he just got shredded from that Legion commander. But there's this situation you're in now where, without the control on Beast Coast, like I don't know what you can do the later this goes. I really do like the I was gonna say I really do like the Aeon Disc build on Jug, but he just says screw it and buys a Blink Dagger instead, and is now going Eye of Scotty. I think he actually has to have an Aeon Disc this game, because there's no way for him to like really survive these engagements if he doesn't have some sort of defensive item. But maybe the play is now just don't be in the engagements and blink in later.
And that's what I was sort of highlighting. While the Aeon Disc, it's a cool item. Your opponents don't really want to build that Nullifier. It'd be cool if you force them to. Unfortunately, Z-Freak was able to get the Hoodwink top. But with this Blink Dagger, you are saying, I trust my own skills. I'm relying on my own. I know that I can play around these fights a little bit better. And it does have some build-up, where the Aeon Disc, it's purely a support item. And Whisper, he wants a duel, but...
Oh, nice cogs. And Whisper just getting crit on the backside. Gunner's gonna force his BKB. This DD rune is doing some work. Whisper on the run. Schofield is gonna be able to make it a great tornado there from PP. They get the disengage. A big win there for Beast Coast, honestly. Getting the buyback as well as pretty much all of the spells out of the Zoomers. They still have the Ravage, but Gunner, without that BKB, has to be careful. He does have a Satanic completed. If he gets caught by the Legion duel in 20 seconds, they might force this sooner, though. They've got
to throw an arrow. This is way too fast.
It's dead.
They might look for the fight after, but if Moo finds any Ravage here, this is disastrous for Beast Coast.
Oh, they find the Hoodwink. Nice save there, however. And now in comes this. Gunner turns around the Satanic. The Juggernaut unable to do enough damage here to finish off these heroes. I mean, that's the Blink combo. Maybe they get Envy. No, but there's the Blink Ravage move saved there once again by the Legion, but Schofield can't get away from this Lina, as now Envy and friends looking to chase down this Legion commander. It's just the Gunner show, man. Welcome to the gun show. I think it would be a much better way to have said that, but it's fine.
And that's the tagline, right? There's no way they can fight unless they're getting on top of him. He has that 150 attack range now. but I'm continuing to see there's no Lotus Orbs, there's no Force Staffs. Well, there are Force Staffs, but they're having to be used on themselves. They don't have enough mobility in their lineup to kite them out. And to follow up there, if anyone else was able to get on top of Gunner, if PP was in a slightly better position,
they
maybe
found
to get the
Gunner.
play.
They get the duel. Where's the
Oh, no,
Cataclysm? It's not out. He just turns it around and kills him. Oh no. Invoker did not have. Did he have? I mean, he had to have Cataclysm up.
Yeah,
He did. He just didn't have it invoked. Oh no. And that is a dieback on Whisper, and just a free 30 more damage for this Lina. That's looking like it might be two. I guess you don't have mid or bottom T2 towers, so at least they have that to defend themselves for now. But that is a pretty big error there.
Yeah, and now it just only gets harder for you, and you want to make this play onto Gunner. Look at how vulnerable he is. He's slightly split from his team, but Envy the Bear is just going in. Of course, you got the Eternal Envy Aegis, but does this really matter at the end of the day if you're not getting on top of this Lina? And looking even closer at Whisper, he didn't even pop his Blade Mail. He felt so pressured to get that duel on the low ground, but you're dueling on the low ground. He gets buffed up a little bit by his teammates, but Gunner just sits there and hits you, and without any backup coming in from any other members on the Beast Coast side, you lose the duel, you give 30, sure, that's whatever to Lina, but it's this Lina that's already chunking you. This is starting to become untamable for Beast Coast, and really, I think they're running out of fights. That was also without Ravage. And,
Hook shot.
Oh, Stinger.
Yeah. Stinger dead once again. Timeless Relic. Oh boy. I mean, you can give this to Moo. You can give this to Z-Freak. They're going to drop it on Z-Freak. He nearly soloed the Juggernaut in the bottom lane just a moment ago, and now he's got himself an extra 15% spell damage, so he's pretty happy about that one.
In addition to all of that, you have the Wind Waker. Moo, really the offlaner to continuously buy this item for an incredibly good reason. Not sure if Eternal Envy knows how it works. There have been a lot of times where he does get Wind Waker, it just sits in place. It is very confusing. It is exactly like Yule's, except you can actually move in it. But with this Wind Waker, now it says every single time this duel goes off, we're going to Yule's Arena. This game just became impossible for Whisper to play now. If Moo is not caught first, if he is not the first one to go, in addition to that, he has the Flicker Force Staff. He has so many defensive items for his teammates where I don't think Beast Coast now have that reliable damage. They're not actually able to start, or rather to finish the fight that they start. And Mariano, he's running.
Doing his best to leap away. Atos, Yules.
Nope.
Good luck. I really do appreciate that Wind Waker has a slightly different Cyclone animation than the Yules, but I think it needs to have a different color or something. It needs to be like slightly blue or something. Whisper is gonna find Gunner bottom lane with the help of Schofield. This would be a huge kill. They're gonna be able to get the duel. Cataclysm comes through. They are not.
Oh.
Okay, PP pushing them up to the high ground, saving Gunner and preventing the duel, I guess, but Invoker now in a lot of trouble. There's gonna be the Ravage, doesn't connect onto the Jug. But again, you're fighting without your biggest damage hero, the Lina. It's not here to offer any help. Whisper trying to keep himself alive, but just getting bashed up over and over again. Now Schofield silenced up. No chance at surviving. They buy back on the Invoker for this.
If they got him again, it actually probably would have been game, but Z-Freak just continues to find these silences. I can't believe that it keeps on happening. Why he itemized this way in Schofield, it just feels so terrible because he keeps on ending up in the cogs, and maybe you still lose your clockwork, maybe Husky is going down, but without any way to cleanse, you're not starting the fight on Z-Freak. You have to blow your spells on either of Zoomer's cores, and sure, you have that nice jump onto Gunner in the bottom lane, did get a little bit separated. He thought he was safe as deep into the trees as he was, but if you're able to clean up these fights so seamlessly with the Skywrath Mage, there's nothing you can do if you're this Jug. Schofield hasn't got his Omni Slash off in the past 3 fights, and okay, Envy, but you simply pop the Earth Shock. You just walk away.
He has Flicker now, too. He's picked that one up from Moo.
You...
Moo kind of doing a little meme here. Took the 200 damage talent for some reason as opposed to the 20% cooldown reduction. So I'm sure he's having fun with that.
Well, and it helps them push a little bit, right? On a serious note, Ursa is still not your best building hitter. If you do actually have to siege down, this damage
He's
is
got the
actually
shard, yeah. He can anchor smash towers, so there is that. The thing is, you have so much damage coming in from Gunner. I just feel like the cooldown reduction's a little bit
Yeah.
more viable
In
here.
addition to that, it's also once you get that CDR talent plus the Arcane Blink, you more or less have a 70-second Ravage, so it does feel a little bit broken, but I guess when you get this Wind Waker, he is pretty all in on it. He's not gonna have that Agi Blink for at least another 5,000 net worth, so he's probably just saying, "Well, I've gone for this, might as well go for this," trying to leverage as many aspects of his hero as possible, but this Wind Waker just feels so good in this game. Unfortunately, again, bottom not able to connect with his Lina, so they did lose Gunner in that one instance, but I've seen this 3 times already where 4-Zoomers get to this pretty early ultra late game where they have so many items, they have this incredibly safe Lina. No Scotty this time around, but going for the AC instead, and poor Stinger. It's just instant.
Yeah, just waiting for that AC, the abyssal target there.
And now, here we go. They're trying to get the split push. They're not interested in hitting their building just yet, but
They
here we
kill
go,
heroes,
Whisper.
they win the game. He's just going to cyclone him.
Oh.
Husky flying through the skies, knows Mariano is here somewhere, but they're going to go ahead and hold these abilities. Hook shot.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
you dueled the Tidehunter and just instantly clapped by Envy there. They even find the Mirana anyway. Schofield top lane, channeling on the tower. Skywrath Mage, he's got an Aeon Disc. You got to be careful here, Schofield. All right, he's going to be able to get the kill. Z-Freak, they got baited a little bit here.
Yeah, playing around the fact that he had the Andis just a little bit too hard. He has no actual way to see enemy heroes, but PP died without buyback.
Yeah,
in the bottom lane.
He just died bottom solo to Envy's Abyssal Blade.
And now DD Rune on Gunner yet
Oh,
again.
God, Gunnow is
I
mad.
feel like this is the game. Yeah, they're going to get Glyph in. Yeah, they just call it.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to call it after Whisper got his TP broken bottom, but still really clean, really just a very measured game from 4-Zoomers. Again, they're able to pick up this Lina Tidehunter, and they feel so comfortable going to these later stages. And even though Eternal Envy, you're on that Ursa, you struggled just a little bit in that bottom lane. He had a terrible timing on pretty much everything, but you were able to claw it back. Gunner had such a free time on this Lina, and I really think now it's up to teams to crack this Lina code. This is, again, the 3rd time that 4-Zoomers have done it, gotten away with it, and this is a first phase Lina that really no one is prioritizing. I think if Beast Coast are going to go into this draft again, they see the Lina again, it's going to be Gunner's hero. You have to play around the fact that we need to spread out those bans a little bit more because, yet again, we get so many comfort heroes for 4-Zoomers. And Beast Coast, they also get those comfort heroes, but we had a little bit of some question marks coming out from me where Whisper, he did get picked off top that one time. They had that good play and bottom where they got the smoke, they got the ward. I think they need to play a little bit more aggressively and a little bit further around their timings. And I think the real one lagging behind on the Beast Coast side was that Schofield Juggernaut. I don't feel like he was really able to enable himself. And there was a big time there where he could have gotten that advantage over that Ursa, where it never really felt like Schofield could show up in these fights. I felt like we were always seeing him getting picked off first or running away from the engagement. We just didn't have a carry on the Beast Coast side.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty okay with Schofield's build when he went for the Mjolnir first. The way I looked at it is he knew he was really far ahead of Envy's Ursa, right? Envy finished phase boots, Battle Fury at like 16 and a half minutes. We talked about it really early on. We're like, all right, Ursa has no game right now. He's going to get like a 16-minute Battle Fury at the earliest, and then it's the next item that matters, right? Nothing really matters until Ursa gets that second item. And so if you're Schofield, you're like, all right, I'll just go Mjolnir, I'll farm up, get a better second item, and be more active than this Ursa can. And he never got there. Like he went this like Sanj and Yasha, build and just bash her and stuff, like items that just never allowed him to actually compete in these fights. And I want to give a big shout out to Z-Freak. Like Z-Freak on the Skywrath Mage, second highest damage in the game overall, but most of it was dumped on the Juggernaut. Every single fight, he was isolating this Juggernaut, making sure that Schofield could not participate. And yeah, I mean, they just played a really well game. It just comes down Zoomers executing extremely well. And like you said, I think someone's going to have to figure out how to deal with this Tidehunter Lina opener. But, right now, not yet Beast Coast. They may be able to pull this back here in game number 2. But we're going to be throwing to a real quick break. We've got just a little bit of a break here before we come in and round out this series. Maybe Beast Coast can pull it back, but we'll see if they can keep the title of Draw Coast. We'll see you guys in just a little bit here on the Loot Bet Pro Series Season 7. Take care.